Hello everyone, Sir Monkey Suit or Zabby here, back again with The Promised Neverland. I know that a lot of you are going to be so happy that this is back, because, that is one of the things that keeps coming up in my comments and stuff, is like, is The Promised Neverland coming back? And it finally is. It did take a long hiatus, I think longer than half a year really. I think I reacted to episode 3 around the start of February time. Now, I was always going to get back to this. It was just a matter of time. The reason why this show has taken a hiatus, and some other shows as well, was because this year has been very manic for me. If for people that don't know, last year I was able to do this full time. I was making enough money from patrons and things like that to be able to sustain myself and do everything full time and get all of this content to you guys. And it slowed up around the beginning of this year, and because of that, I had to go back to work, which meant I didn't have enough time to do a lot of shows. And the only one that has really been consistent is Hunter x Hunter. Because that is like the sort of the main one that keeps the patrons that are paying for their early access and things like that. That is for them. And I only had really time for that like one show, because it's for early access patrons. They get 4 episodes a week, which means that it takes up all my time. But we are back now. Okay, so yeah, hopefully I can get back to a point where I can do this full time again. So if you do want to go help me out and support me, then go over to Patreon. Link is in the description, and yeah, but yeah, I don't think we need to talk about any of that anymore. I think we just need to get into where we were when we left off. Okay, so I've got my notes here. For those that just want to go straight to the reaction, or don't really want to, listen to me talk for however long this is going to take, it's just because I need to get caught up as well, meaning that it might take a little bit, it might be a bit of a longer pre-discussion than usual. But yeah, if you just want to go to the reaction, then link is in the description below. Okay, so right now, the episodes. Yeah, I remember the episodes. The titles are specifically the date on which the episode takes place on. Right, so there's some interesting stuff here that I need to go through, because if you'd notice, like here, that's like episode 3 right here. That at the bottom of the page, I have stuff like that I wrote down like in capitals, because that is stuff that I write down after I've reacted to the episode and after the video is actually like gone out. It'll be stuff that like has popped up into my head, or things that like while I was editing the video that I kind of just pick up on things. So I would have not talked about this stuff in the episode 3 discussion. Now, because it has been that long, it means that like some of this stuff, like I might not be able to attribute it to something like a certain scene, because it has been that long ago. What would have been nice is if I'd actually went through and just watched the fucking 3 episodes again. But like I said, short on time. So yeah. So anyway, we'll start off with so episode 4 is going to be like the 29th, right? Because I think it's the 29th of the 10th, and then the year's 2045, I'd imagine, but it just says 45, so we don't know, unless it has actually said that before, which I don't think it has. Anyway, regardless. So yeah, the last episode 3, was the 18th. So we're like a good week and a half before we get in episode 4. Right, okay. I would advise that, if you want to kind of get the best out of what this pre-discussion is and the things that I'm going to talk about here that I didn't talk about in episode 3, then go back and watch the episode 3 discussion, then come back, and then you might be able to, tie it together a bit better for you. Okay, but anyway, so the main things are, they were talking about Teferi, which I believe was something of I said there was something of like a religious figure, or it is the name of the demon fucking species thing that they've got going on. Anyway, so it could be that. They are the little kids and whatnot are known as plants, which is before I thought they were maybe like something along the lines of cattle. Instead, they are like plants, which is definitely interesting. There's obviously some kind of plant like imagery that keeps showing and stuff like that, which keeps cropping up. So that would probably attribute to that, I imagine. The Isabella, she had said, who did you tell? I can't remember who she told. I don't think it was Sister Crone, right? Because I think she's just turned up this last episode. So I think she was talking to someone. She said that any child at any time, which basically puts a which I believe I was talking about. There was like a 2-month period in which like another child goes, right, and it's every 2 months. Whereas this time it's like any child at any time, meaning that it can screw up the that order, because the likes of Emma and Norman already know that, like, they already know that there's something every 2 months. But because of this, I don't think, did they overhear? I don't think they did. I think that was just a scene that was with Isabella. I don't think the kids were actually like eavesdropping on that, so they wouldn't know about this. But I imagine it's going to, instead of 2 months, it's going to be like in a month, and it's going to fuck up like Emma's and Norman's and Ray's plan, right? So we'll see what happens with that. What else have we got? What else? Yeah, so Sister Crone, obviously she came in the last episode. She was crazy. There was things I was saying where maybe she could have been used as like a tool to help out like Emma and Norman and stuff. Not because she's on side of the children, but because of her like kind of, she was acting a bit ditzy, and I thought that maybe she was. But when they did the tag thing, she was very scary. So who knows what's going. But she does have an issue with Isabella, right, and how like she wants to take her place. So again, like even though she's not ditzy, there could be a way, because the likes of like Norman, Emma and Ray, like they're smart kids, so it's not out of the question that can still be a thing where they play them off against each other to help themselves out. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, the big one that I believe relates to these coming episodes is the traitor thing, right? So there is a traitor out there, and I believe Ray was one of them. Well, he was up for debate whether he was the or is the traitor, I should say. What not was, because they still haven't revealed it yet. So Ray is up there because what was he? I don't think that's. When did they bring in the traitor? Was it episode 3 or 2? The possibility. I think there might have been. Oh God. Yeah, I don't know. It might have been 3 when they brought it up, because the two that I said were the possibilities of what it could be was Ray and then the glasses girl, but I believe the glasses girl was too, like, it's like it was almost too obvious that it would be her, because she just started cropping up in like little scenes where like she's like glancing over at like the likes of Emma and Norman and stuff, and I think it's too obvious that it was her. Ray would be like, I mean, it's crazy because it's like they've set them up as like the three amigo, like the group together, but as I've said before, like Ray it seems like he has information that like that the likes of Emma and Norman don't have in regards to this whole place, and he's never come out and talked about this kind of information, so he's still up for debate. But it could easily just be somebody else, right? That if we go back through the episodes, we might like see someone in the background watching, but we don't know. Now, on to the sort of the notes that I wrote down. I think what these notes would have been, I would have written these down while I was editing episode 3's video. And I picked up some interesting stuff that I wanted to talk about in episode 4, but obviously that never came around up until now, so this is what we're talking about, right? If I can't attribute it to certain things, then I apologise, but, if you can pick up on what I'm talking about, then there you go. So, Isabella says she has an idea about who found out the secret. So, obviously, we know that it was Emma and Norman, right? They're talking about Connie. Now, I think this is in regards to me thinking, like, this is in regards to if Ray was the traitor, because I think it basically, I think it excludes Ray from being the traitor, because what I say here is, right, so Isabella says she has an idea about who found out about the secret. I said, if it was Ray who is the traitor, then surely he would have confirmed it to her already. I think what I'm talking about there is Ray. If Ray was the traitor, then he would have told Isabella about who was the people that found, like, the kids that found out, right? but I also wrote down, though this still takes place the day that he found out that it was Emma and Norman, right? So there's still so there's still a possibility of time within that day where Ray had just found out about Emma and Norman figuring it out, but then didn't have time to go talk to Isabella. Or if he did go talk to Isabella, then it wouldn't be Isabella saying she has an idea. I think she would know at that point, right? And because she wasn't being eavesdropped at that point, there was no reason why she would keep information from, well, unless just keeping information from the audience. But, you know, I don't like that kind of storytelling, like that kind of writing where it's like, where they keep information just from the audience, you know what I mean? Because if she's on her own with someone that she trusts, then there's no reason why she should keep information, right? From us, the audience. But I don't know. I can't remember what was going through my mind when I wrote this down. It's just it's kind of in that ballpark somewhere. So I don't know. Take from that whatever you will. I also wrote down beneficial for the plants. By focusing efforts on escaping, the quality of the plant will increase. So I don't know at what part during the episode they were talking, or where I got that from, but I think the idea is because the reason why Emma, Norman, and Ray are still growing and that they aren't given over as like food or whatever the fuck is because they are they're smart, and therefore it's like, you know, they can become of higher quality, kind of, in a way, right? So that's what I'm talking about there. But I think that also relates to by focusing efforts on escaping. It's like, yeah. So I don't know. Ray seems to know a lot about technology and how it works, but he shouldn't. Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things that, like, he talks about how all of this technology and stuff. And he talks a lot about the outside, I believe, as well, in which case he shouldn't. He shouldn't know about all that stuff. I know that he reads and everything like that, but what's, like, I think he's smart enough to realize that, like, why would they put books for the kids to read on the inside of the wall that would relate to what's happening out there? Like, you know, like, he's talking about, like, technology from possibly from the age, like, of our time, like, in real life now, you know what I mean? So, like, 2019 or whatever. If this is 2045, you're talking about, like, years in the future where technology could, you know, be, like, is vastly superior. So, you know, he talks about it, like, with certainty, which is why, again, like, he's up for that thing of, like, well, how does he know this much? And obviously the reason why he's up there is possibly being the traitor. And the tag match, in regards to the tag match, I wrote down, is the tag match signifying Emma's naivety as the biggest weakness and telling us that she can't save everyone. So I that's probably the one that I know what I was thinking at the moment I wrote this. So obviously in the last episode I remember the tag match, and I remember specifically it was Sister Crone had already figured out, like, the weaknesses of the three kids. So Norman's was physical strength and like, you know, the physical, like, sort of weakness, or I should say, not physical strength. Like, he's weak physically. Emma's is naivety, and Ray's is he makes decisions fast but abandons them just as quick. So he can just, and again, that's like, it's just another one of them weaknesses that can easily get somebody killed. And if he is the traitor, it's one of those sort of attributes that you would probably attribute to a traitor, right? To just abandon something midway through, and cause the death of, like, the people that he's with. But when I'm talking about Emma's naivety, like, yeah, the weaknesses of both Norman's and Ray's, but I think what I was thinking with this was Emma's naivety is going to be the biggest weakness, because it's going to be a case of, like, she is naive to something that she would, like, you know, if she believes somebody that she shouldn't, again, in regards to a traitor or something like that, where it's like, because her big thing is wanting to get everybody out, and then you have the likes of, I think it was Ray that is combating her on that, basically saying like it's an impossibility. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's great to like, of course, like, would want to save everybody, but like, if you're talking realistically, like, how is that possible? Like, how would we be able to pull it off? So maybe her naivety in thinking that she can save everyone actually ends up killing more people because of it, you know. But we'll have to see. I mean, I think that's it. I think that's everything that I want to get out of the way. So yeah, it's been like a fucking 15-minute video already. You know, but I just needed to make sure that, you know, you guys were caught up and I was caught up, and yeah, we can get on with the episode. So there is nothing else to talk about. We're going to get in episode 4 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, yeah, episode 4. Right. Well, you know what gave it away, like, for me, was that we never got the scene of Norman telling Don and Gilda which one it was. I figured that, you know, because Norman is like he's like the sort of like the real smart one of the group, right? Like, he's the one that can, well, because we know that, you know, both Emma and Ray are smart as well, but it's all in different ways, right? I'm trying to figure out the best way to sort of talk about, like, describe. I think we all know, right? Norman is the one to be able to sit down and sort of strategize, and I think in his mind he's the top dog, right? Isn't he the one that's like, he's right up there? But I think Ray is more. What would be the word? What would be the word to describe? Calculated? Would Norman be more calculated? Ray is probably like a bit more. It's probably like the difference between strategy and tactics, kind of thing, right? And one would be best for the, like, I think maybe Norman would be more of a strategizing kind of person, whereas Ray would be more tactical. But it was that whole thing of him you had the scene of talking to Ray, and here's the thing, I didn't get anything from Don that would tell me that, because I'm sure he's the one that was with Connie, right? And I just don't think it would. Nah, I didn't think it would be that way. So when Gilda was obviously innocent, we obviously didn't see the person who slipped the note through the door, right? We just saw Gilda head to Sister Crone's. So in my mind, I was thinking, well, the only one left is Ray, and it makes sense. We didn't get, you know, Norman talking to Don and Gilda about where he placed the rope. Yeah, it's great play on Norman's part, and I'm interested to see how this is going to turn out next. Now, that being said, I think there is some merit, let's say, in that talk of Norman basically saying, like, why would someone be the traitor, right? And Ray basically comes back and is like, well, maybe there's some merit in being a traitor. Now, I think I could be completely fucking off base here, because I might be being a bit meta in what I'm thinking about, but like, this show has already, it's already basically told us that these are the three main kids, right? And I don't think it's a episode, like, in 4 episodes, right? That's it. Like, they're done. Them two are done. Even though we had Emma basically saying I'd still try and get them out anyway. I think the idea is that Ray, when he was talking about maybe there's some merit in being a traitor, well, obviously at that point he already knows that he's the traitor, right? Now, if you watch him, like, specifically in this episode, because obviously this one's fresh in my mind and the other 3 are back in the beginning of 2019, when Ray is like, for instance, right, when they go to see Don and Gilda and they tell them about the human trafficking thing, and Norman basically doesn't say anything in regards to like what happened to Connie. It's just that he just said, I don't know, right? And Ray, like you can hear him go, like you can hear him like there's some like shock within there. I think that Ray is like, there is merit in him being a traitor, not because because there is like he's able to grow up and get out, but I think because there's something else that he is up to by being a traitor. I think in Ray's mind, by getting close to the mother, that it affords him some liberties that he can take, which means that, you know, he can basically be a double agent and turn on the mother, right? Because I feel like that is Ray's best chance. I don't see a reason why Ray would fully trust the mother, or why, like, you know, once he's given up all of his friends, like, why would he think that the mother wouldn't just turn on him afterwards? I think Ray is smart enough to realize that could possibly be the case. So I think the idea is that the merit that in being a traitor that Ray is talking about for himself specifically is, by being a traitor, it allows me to get in close and be trusted by her enough to so I can do the double and do it on her, you know. That's what I think is going to happen. And that's basically me being meta and just thinking that because they are the three, they're on the fucking cover, they're on, you know, in the opening theme, they are the three people together. I just think that is the case. I really do. If that is not the case, then, well, okay then. I'm wrong. But, you know, we can only just wait and see. So yeah, right, we had Isabella and Sister Crone talking again. It's interesting that Isabella says, like, you know, she brought in Sister Crone as insurance to make sure that the products are protected. It's interesting. It's weird that it is the juxtaposition between what is really happening and her, like, the real side of the mother, right? Like, I don't... It's hard to place because it feels like they are two different people, right? The most loving mother in the world to the most evil, right? And I feel like there's an in-between where even when she is evil, she's talking about these, like, them as if... Because when she's talking, right, she's saying basically to make sure that the products are protected. Like, protected. Like, now, is it in a... I feel like when you're using the term protected, it's making sure they are protected, as a mother would do, right? Her children. But it's just a weird term. It's a weird bit of terminology considering the fact that she seems like she's two different people. She's like, in reality, she's the evilest person. But then in this world in which they inhabit, like, I don't... Because here's the thing, right? It's easy just for us to sit here and watch the show and then just think of everything as, like, what we would attribute our real world to this. So when you see it, you're like, that is disgusting. Because, you know, you are growing up these kids to just go get eaten by demons. You know? It's an evil thing. And I'm thinking, like, other stuff that I've watched, like Parasite, for example, where it sort of forces you to sort of think from a different perspective. We don't know anything from outside the walls at this point, so for all we know, it's a demon world in which, like, we are the cattle in a way. And Parasite, that was a big deal, and, like, a big plot point in Parasite was the idea that the parasites themselves thought, like, why is it that us eating humans is such a bad thing when you lot just, you know, you eat livestock and stuff like that? Like, why is it different for us, kind of thing, you know? And basically it comes down to the fact that humans are generally more cognitive, and we're able to, you know, we are sort of like the dominant species. if this whole world is demon society outside, then that means they're not the dominant species, which means that the it's like a shift in it's the shift in perspective that you could easily look at, and the reason why maybe Isabella might not be the worst person ever. The only reason why I would say that is because Isabella's not a demon herself, unless she is, in which case she's like, you know, she's got human, like she's taken some human skin and she's inhabiting it. Other than that, because the thing is that you see, yeah, because if she is a human, and it's not just a demon within human skin, then she has to. It's because she doesn't show any regret or any, like, you know what I mean. Like, there's no empathy or sympathy there. It's just, you know, here you go. Now, again, like when I'm talking about perspective in this world, because I don't know the ins and outs of it, it could be to her like what she thinks she's doing is not a bad thing. And so if you're looking at it from that perspective, does that make her a bad person? Now, to me, yes. Well, just because of the fact that if she is a human, then she should have empathy, because I think that's one of the biggest traits that us humans actually have, is to be empathetic. So if you don't have any if you don't have any of that in regards to, like, you know, it'd be bad just shipping off adults in that way, but kids, it makes it even worse. So I don't know, it's just she's an odd character, because even in the fact that she is at this point in the show, she's the evil one, and she's the most evil that, you know, but yet she's got a weird sort of characterization where she is still that motherly person, even when she's in that evil mode and she's not around the children. It's strange. So yeah, Ray suspecting everyone. Again, like, yeah, back to the Ray thing, like with him being the traitor and maybe doing it for the best of the kids in the end, is Ray suspecting everyone and basically telling, like, Emma, like, you should suspect everyone. Because why would he tell her that if not, like, you know, because what would stop Emma from suddenly suspecting him, you know? But then it could be a thing of like, well, Ray is that smart that, you know, it kind of alleviates him from the idea of being the traitor if he gives her this information, because then, like I said, like, you just ask questions like I just did, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, this is the thing, like, it all depends on how long he's been doing this. It all depends on how long he's known this. That's what it comes down to, really. But yeah. Anyway, Norman wants to escape next week. Basically, like 9 days. So November the 8th. Now, I'll see before I start watching episode 5 that, you know, what day they're going to be on. I don't think it's going to be next episode. I don't think so, because I feel like they've got more to do. But yeah, it's interesting now though, because Ray's been the one looking into somehow removing the tracking chips. With him being the traitor now, it's just what happens next. It really is. Yeah. And anyway, back with Norman, like being the smart one, he'd already figured out the whole thing of the whole plan of Isabella, because they know that she's on their tail, right? They know that she's on her tail. So I love the fact that Norman doesn't want to give the whole 2-month thing a go, because he knows that, you know, she could easily just change it up. And even though he hasn't overheard that, it goes to show how smart he is that he's just preparing for that, and the best thing to do is to go before that could happen. Now that's a thing. Ray did speak up about that and say that, well, wait a minute, why would you want to go? And he was a bit. So I don't know, because it could be both ways. Like I said, like, he could be needing more time in order to get the full trust of Isabella. However, that would mean that he possibly would be fine with a kid being taken out, and which, if that's the case, if I'm calling Isabella evil, then in some way I need to kind of think the same way about Ray. We'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, so it explained the whole thing why Gilda was being a bit suspicious, and it was because she kept looking over because they were friends beforehand, before all this happened, and she had changed. Like, Emma had changed within that time. It was no longer just happy-go-lucky, living their life, having fun. She obviously turned more serious, and they'd never hung out before after that. So, yeah, I mean, that it's interesting because of the fact that, yeah, like, they're both girls, and, you know, since the very beginning of this show, we weren't given any. It's like from episode 1, we were immediately in, and we never got the bit beforehand. Like, we never got an episode where they were just living their life. And if we did, I figured that Emma would be hanging with Gilda. Like they said, like, they hung out every day. But, I mean, it makes sense, because they're, like, the two girls that are around the same age. So, you know, it makes sense why that would be, like, why they would. And, yeah, and I guess that does sort of wrap up that whole thing about her being suspicious, and why it was, like, why writing wise it was a good way to put her up as a possible suspect in who the traitor was. Right, what else do we have? What else? Yeah, I think that was it. The only other thing I've really got to talk about, I guess, was Gilda, the whole thing that she had with Sister Crone, and it's an odd one because I don't know to what degree she was talking about certain things. I think what was happening was Gilda started talking to Sister Crone because she was worried about why. Like, Gilda thought that she was having a fight with Emma because Emma wasn't coming to talk to her anymore, right? And I think what Sister Crone had gathered from that was, oh, wait a minute, something's off here. It sort of adds up with this whole thing about, you know, who, like, there are kids that know about, you know, what we do and stuff, and that's not good. So I think in Sister Crone's mind, she figured out that, well, that must be the case then. However, she wanted concrete proof, and I think that is, like, it's not a case that Gilda was going out and giving away, like, a lot of this information to Sister Crone. I think it was just like it was yeah, I don't think it was. And if it was just under the thing of, like, Gilda possibly thinking that, you know, maybe she was just getting angry because Emma wasn't coming to talk to her anymore, and she just felt like she was getting one back and being a bit petty, like a kid would. Maybe it was something like that. Because the thing is, just when she woke up, she had that, you know, looking down, and, like, those fucking proper suspicious eyes, you know, those evil suspicious eyes, and that's why I asked during the reaction, like, wait a minute, so what was her plan when she woke up to do that? But then when she got there, she realised she couldn't. I don't know. I think maybe Gilda gave some information, but not, like, enough to cement anything. So by the time, like, she went there and she figured out, like, maybe she woke up and that was her plan, but then she went in and realised that no, this is wrong. So I don't know. I was getting bad vibes though in there. I was thinking that Crone was gonna straight up kill her, but I feel like in that regard, I don't think they can get away with that. I don't think the mother and the sister, I don't think they can get away with just killing a kid, you know, because they have to protect them, right, and have to make sure they become, because otherwise I feel like the demons outside are going to be a bit pissed off if that were the case. So I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. Like, because at the end of the day, if push comes to shove, and you know, temperaments are going to rise. I feel like they do kind of. You know, they have been since the beginning of the show. Like every episode, it's a bit more tense, and I feel like at some point, you know, Isabella, Sister Crone, just lose it for a second. I don't want that to be the case, but I know it's going to happen. There is no way, right? There is no possible way the rest of this show continues, and all of these kids are alive, right? We're fucking losing at least one. And you know my fucking, I mean, you know my stance on kids and shows. I hate it, man. I hate seeing them get hurt. Fucking annoys us. But there's nothing I can do. I just need to react and fucking deal with it, don't I? So, so yeah, that's all I've got. If you do want to watch episode 5 immediately, you can go over to Patreon and get the early access tier and watch episode 5 right now. Okay, so it's up there at the same time that I uploaded this video. So yeah, you know, if you can't do that for whatever reason, then episode 5 will be out next week. Okay, so yeah, so we're going to be doing. I'll have time for one episode a week, all the way up until it finishes. Okay, so yeah, that is that. But that's all I've got. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below I've linked to certain things. One of them is the Discord. You can get yourself over there. I also have Patreon as well, like I've said. Early access tier, $5 a month. That gives you access to shows a week early. And you get 4 episodes of Hunt a Hunt every week. That's 2 on Monday and 2 on Friday. There is also a full-length tier there, so you can get full-length access to this episode as well. There are other tiers there where you can pay to have certain shows reacted to as well. So go have a look at those over there. But that's all I've got, so thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.